Good morning. My name is Greg Mays, and I'm the Deputy Commissioner for the Tennessee Office of Homeland Security. And on behalf of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, I would like to welcome you to our Three Stars of Tennessee ceremony as we approach this, the 23rd anniversary of the attacks of September 11th, 2001. At this time, I would like to ask that all attendees silence their cell phones. This ceremony is being videotaped and live streamed on the department's YouTube and Facebook channels. Photographs are also being taken and will be made available to all attendees. And additional photographs, there'll be a period of time at the conclusion of the ceremony for additional photographs. At this time, I would ask that you please stand for the presentation of the colors presented by the Tennessee Highway Patrol Honor Guard. advance the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Retire the colors. You may be seated. I'd like to welcome our honorees and our guests. I'd also like to thank the Hermitage Hills Baptist Church for allowing us to use this wonderful facility. Today's ceremony recognizes law enforcement officers, firefighters, and first responders who have died or suffered a career-ending injury in the line of duty. There are too many special guests here in attendance today to recognize them all individually. However, we have elected officials, public safety leaders, and most importantly, we have family members in the audience. We thank each of you for attending. I would like to introduce you to our leaders seated in the front of the room. We have Governor and First Lady Bill and Maria Lee with us today. To my far right, Senator Becky Massie, and to my immediate right, Commissioner Jeff Long. And at this time, I'd like to introduce you to Commissioner Jeff Long, Commissioner of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, and the Homeland Security Advisor to the Governor of Tennessee. Commissioner Long has been in law enforcement for more than 49 years. He has experience as a sheriff, an assistant district attorney, a special agent in charge, experience with the TBI, arson investigator, police officer, and much more. Please welcome Commissioner Jeff Long.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to come today and do this ceremony that we think is so proper to recognize those that have given all to the service of our state and our communities. It's my honor this morning to get to introduce the lady whose idea this came from, Senator Becky Massie. Senator Massie started this by statute in 2014 after a program she had witnessed, I think, in Texas, and where they recognize those that have given that ultimate sacrifice or have a career-ending injury that injures their career. She presented the legislation, got it passed, sponsored the bill for that, and has attended every ceremony since that time, and this is her ceremony that she is so proud of, and it's my honor at this time to introduce to you Senator Becky Massie.
Thank you, Commissioner and Governor and First Lady, and just want to thank each of you for making the trip over here, whether it was close by or it was from the corners of our state. But this is the 11th year that we have presented the 3 Stars of Tennessee. And as the Commissioner said, I was visiting my daughter and granddaughter in Texas, and right after 9/11, I went to a church service there. And they said, and Governor Perry was there this week presenting the Star of Texas. And of course, like any curious person, I Googled it and thought, oh, well, this is interesting. Came back, started talking to my local law enforcement and my local firefighters in Knox County, and they were very interested. They said there was nothing statewide like this. And came back and then talked to the Homeland Security and the Department of Safety, and they were very interested in adding this to their 9/11 ceremony. And thereby this was birthed. But you know, when we have legislation, you know, you have a few co-sponsors or whatever. This bill actually had every single member of the General Assembly signed on as a co-sponsor. And for resolutions that happens, but that doesn't happen on bills. But they all realized how important this was to let the families know that we don't forget and that we're going to continue to honor the folks that have made the ultimate sacrifice, whether it was through their life or whether it was through having to end their career. So it was, you know, I always say it's okay to borrow a few things from Texas because Texas wouldn't exist without Tennessee. You know, Tennessee has 1 star, Texas has 1 star, Tennessee has 3. You know, and of course, the Alamo and the volunteers, it was, I do remind them all they wouldn't be around without us. But, you know, this award really came close to home a few years ago when my great-nephew was involved in a shootout on the interstate in Knox County with a gang member. And while none of the officers or he wasn't hurt, it brought it really close to our family that, you know, that the sacrifice that folks are making. But I just want to know, thankfully, like I say, none of those officers was hurt, but Chris, Gregory, Tucker, Todd, William, Donovan, Rusty, and Jewel. How do I describe these folks? Courageous, strong, trustworthy, servant, protector, hardworking, America's finest, negotiator, enforcer, selfless, dedicated. But the one word that really describes it is hero. These are dangerous professions with many uncertainties. These men and women who serve the citizens of Tennessee train for countless hours for situations the average person may never encounter in their lifetime, and they each hold their oath in high regard. Every day in Tennessee, brave men and women put their uniforms on and report to duty to protect us all, with the knowledge they may pay the ultimate price to keep their community and our state safe. It takes a very special person to risk so much for many who care so little. But let me promise you right now, Tennesseans as a whole care and appreciate what these women and men do to protect us. In Tennessee, we stand for those who stand for us. Today, we are honoring the sacrifices made by these Tennesseans here. No words can adequately express our gratitude and admiration for these brave men and women who dedicated their lives so selflessly serving others. The 3 Stars of Tennessee is just a small token of our appreciation. And I just want you to know we will never forget. Thank you.
It's now my honor to get to introduce our speaker for the day. And before I do that, I want to thank First Lady Maria Lee for being here today. Thank you, First Lady. It's our honor today to have the governor of the state of Tennessee to come and talk with you and to address you this morning. As you all know, he's a great supporter of first responders and law enforcement across this state, and has shown so during his total administration. It's my honor to introduce our guest speaker today, the 50th governor of the state of Tennessee, the Honorable Bill Lee.
Thanks, sir. Maria's here with me because she, like I, have a tremendous appreciation and place in our heart for those who, certainly for those who serve the people of Tennessee in law enforcement and as firefighters and first responders, but in particular for those who have sacrificed their life or their career in the line of duty for Tennesseans. And we are honored by your presence here, the families of those, and we hope that your family is honored, and that the lives that you love that have either been changed forever or lost, that those lives are honored today as well. We, to everyone, the other folks that are in here, many of you are in law enforcement, leading law enforcement agencies, fire departments, first responding agencies. Thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your understanding, like very few understand, what the men and women who work in your agencies and departments, what they do on a daily basis, how they put themselves out there on a daily basis, and how routine it can be for so long until it's not. And then it is so out of the routine and changes the routine of the family's lives forever. You all who serve understand that more than the rest of the population, but let me speak to the rest of the population, for the rest of the population, for those of us who are not and have not served in harm's way, to be the line of defense between order and chaos. There are 7 million people in this state who are hopeful and grateful that there are those who are called and step into the high calling of serving. There are 7 million people whose safety is dependent upon those who have decided to accept that call. There are 7 million people whose families' well-being is dependent upon those who've decided to accept that high call. And therefore, they're grateful for those that have chosen that, recognizing that some who choose it make a sacrifice for those 7 million people that most of them might not quite realize they have made. Part of what today's ceremony is about is to say we do recognize what sacrifice was made. And on behalf of the 7 million people who benefit from what your loved ones' engagement and for the high call that they accepted in their life to be a part of that, we owe a deep, on behalf of the people, we express a deep gratitude for that. And we hope that, I'm a person who believes that God is a redeemer, and that we live in a broken world that is filled with hope and hopefulness and joy and brokenness and pain and difficulty. And that is the journey that we all walk through. But God is a redeemer, and he takes those most difficult days and most difficult seasons, and if we allow him, turns them, redeems them for good in our lives. And my hope, and I know that Maria and I pray and have prayed for your families specifically, but our prayer is that his nearness would be a redemptive sweet thread in the bitter fabric of the days that you walk in right now in your lives because of the great sacrifices that have been made. So it's our honor to be here today and to take make a small, it really is a small gesture, but a very genuine gesture of recognition and appreciation and honor and gratitude for those that we are recognizing today. Thank you.
At this time, Governor Lee and the First Lady, Commissioner Long, and Senator Massie will present the 3 Stars of Tennessee Awards. There will be an opportunity for photographs at the conclusion of the presentation of all the awards. Captain Chris Patterson, Knoxville Fire Department. On December 23, 2022, the Knoxville Fire Department Unit E6 was dispatched to a reported house fire on Dallas Street with 3 possible occupants inside. Upon arrival, Unit E6 found a 2-story wood frame residence with heavy smoke visible. While conducting his survey of the exterior of the building, Captain Chris Patterson noticed an adult female occupant inside the 2nd-story window with heavy smoke billowing out. A ladder was quickly placed against the building for access to the window, and Captain Patterson ascended the ladder to rescue the victim. As Captain Patterson reached the top of the ladder, the conditions inside the room became untenable for the occupant, and she fell out of the window onto Captain Patterson, and they both fell to the ground, and the occupant landed on Captain Patterson, who in turn landed on his back with all of his gear behind him. Captain Patterson suffered fractures of his back as well as severe nerve damage, unfortunately ending his career as a firefighter. Receiving the award for his career-ending injury is Captain Chris Patterson. Deputy Gregory Allen McGowan, the Blount County Sheriff's Office. On February 8, 2024, Deputy Gregory McGowan responded to assist a fellow deputy who was on a traffic stop. The driver of the vehicle was non-compliant and refused to get out of the vehicle. Deputy McGowan and the initial deputy tried to remove the driver from the vehicle, but the driver refused. Deputy McGowan gave commands for the driver to step out, when the driver suddenly produced a weapon and began to fire shots at both deputies, hitting them both. Deputy McGowan received a round that proved to be fatal and was pronounced deceased later that night at the hospital, despite all the efforts to save him. Greg McGowan leaves behind his fiancée, 2 children, a granddaughter, and 2 bonus children. Greg was full of love and life, and he is remembered for his love for his family and his contagious smile. He had a heart to serve, and he was always willing to give a helping hand. He was living his life's dream of being a police officer, and he considered it an honor to serve with his brothers and sisters in blue. Receiving the award on behalf of Deputy McGowan's family is Blount County Deputy Shelby Eggers, who was also on the scene with Deputy McGowan that night and was also shot during the incident. Officer Tucker Blakely, Knox County Sheriff's Office. On October 1st, 2023, Officer Tucker Blakely, alongside his Echo Shift colleagues, responded to a home in West Knoxville regarding allegations of domestic violence. Once on the scene, Officer Blakely and Officer James Loft were alerted by the complainant that her children were still inside the residence and that she feared for their safety. Officers Blakely and Loft entered the home to retrieve the children and relocate them to a safe place with their mother. Upon entering, a man ambushed the officers and began firing at them. The officers returned fire, killing the suspect, but Officer Blakely was shot in the exchange. He was rushed to the hospital, but despite the best efforts of medical staff, he succumbed to his injuries. He leaves behind his wife, a 6-year-old son, parents, and 2 brothers. Officer Blakely had just recently been selected as a candidate for the Knox County's Canine Handlers course, a lifelong dream for him. His canine partner, Enoch, was placed with him 2 days before Officer Blakely was shot. In addition to serving his community, Officer Blakely proudly served his country in the United States Army, and his final act of service was being an organ donor. Receiving the award on behalf of Officer Blakely is his wife, Katerina, and son, Hendrik. Paramedic Todd E. Giles from the Morristown-Hamlin Emergency Medical Service. On April 5th, 2024, a call came in regarding a 17-year-old that had been run over by a skid steer and had a crushed foot. Paramedic Todd Giles and his paramedic student responded. When paramedic Giles and his student arrived on the scene, they found that their ambulance could not make it up the gravel hill to where the patient was located. They called the rescue squad to bring a 4-wheel drive vehicle, but they wanted to get to the patient as soon as possible. So paramedic Giles and his student hiked up the hill with their gear. When they got to the top, paramedic Giles mentioned shortness of breath, but he told his student to attend to the patient. When the rescue squad arrived, they called paramedic Giles over the radio. Paramedic Giles' last transmission was, quote, "Give me a minute." When the rescue squad got to the top of the hill, paramedic Giles collapsed. Despite immediate life-saving efforts, paramedic Giles was tragically unable to be saved. Todd Giles is survived by his loving wife, Danielle, a daughter, 2 sons, and 3 grandchildren. Todd was a member of the Morristown Rescue Squad since he was 16 years old. He also served in the 101st Airborne Division of the United States Army. He joined the Morristown-Hamlin EMS in 1988 and taught many classes at local businesses and at Walter State Community College. According to his family, Todd died doing what he loved, serving his community and helping others. Receiving the award on behalf of paramedic Todd Giles is his wife, Danielle. Sergeant William Cherry, Macon County Sheriff's Office. On July 29, 2023, Sergeant William Cherry was in his patrol vehicle on his way to a call for service with other deputies. While Sergeant Cherry was driving on Scottsville Road, Highway 10, an intoxicated driver crossed the center lines and struck Sergeant Cherry's patrol vehicle head-on. Sergeant Cherry passed away from the injuries sustained in the crash. Sergeant Cherry served as a law enforcement officer for 12 years, the last 4 being with the Macon County Sheriff's Office. William Cherry leaves behind his wife, a son and daughter-in-law, 2 daughters, and 3 grandchildren. William is remembered as a great man as an honorable police officer. He served with honor and dignity, and the community misses him greatly. His motivation for going into law enforcement was his great love for helping people, and he considered being a deputy to be his calling. Receiving the award on behalf of Sergeant William Cherry is his wife, Alethea Cherry. Detective Donovan Coble, Metropolitan Nashville Police Department. On June 1st, 2023, Detective Donovan Coble was responding to a call regarding an armed man breaking into vehicles at a park and fly business on Donaldson Pike near the Nashville International Airport. Detective Coble and his colleagues from the Hermitage Precinct's Community Field Intelligence Team encountered the suspect in a rear parking lot where he was ordered to stop. However, the suspect ran through the parking lot and jumped over a fence. Detective Coble pursued the suspect over the fence, taser in hand, and ordered the suspect to stop. The suspect pointed a .380 caliber semi-automatic pistol over his shoulder in Detective Coble's direction and fired, seriously wounding Detective Coble. After extensive recovery and rehab, Detective Coble returned to duty on August the 15th, 2023, hoping to again serve and protect the citizens of Nashville. However, it became apparent that the damage caused by the gunman's bullet created complications that prevented Detective Coble from serving as a law enforcement officer. Because of the wound, he is no longer able to wear a ballistic vest, and despite working with manufacturers to find a solution, they were unable. Detective Coble is on a disability pension after serving for 5 years with the Metro Nashville Police Department. Receiving the award for his career-ending injury is Detective Donovan Coble. Officer Joseph Russell Rusty McKinney, Memphis Police Department. On April the 12th, 2024, the Memphis Police Department received a call from a concerned individual regarding a car that had been parked in a field for some time with the motor running. Officers arrived on the scene and found a person asleep in the driver's seat and another person asleep in the front passenger seat. The passenger had a gun in his lap. The officers ran a check on the vehicle and it returned as reported stolen. As the officers attempted to arrest the men, the passenger raised up, lifted his gun, and prepared to fire. Officers on the scene immediately responded by returning fire. During the exchange of gunfire, bullets struck 3 officers. Officer Joseph Rusty McKinney suffered a fatal gunshot wound. Rusty began his law enforcement career with the Memphis Police Department on February 15th of 2020. Upon completion of his basic training, Officer McKinney was assigned to Uniform Patrol. In 2021, he was promoted to Police Officer 2, where he worked various assignments in Uniform Patrol, including the Mount Moriah Station and the Rain Station. Rusty was not only a devoted officer, but also an Eagle Scout, a testament to his strong character and leadership. He is remembered for his courage, dedication, and sense of duty. He leaves behind his beloved daughter, fiancé, parents, and brother. Receiving the award on behalf of Officer Joseph McKinney is his mother, Tina, his 4-year-old daughter, Camilla, fiancé, Diana, and brother, David. Officer Jewel L. Suggs, Memphis Police Department. On July 9th, 2022, dispatch received information about a vehicle stolen from a residence. The call quickly escalated to shots fired. Reports at the scene said that the auto thief was armed with a handgun, fired shots, and made threats to do harm to those outside the residence. Officer Jewel Suggs and other officers arrived on the scene. They gave verbal commands to the perpetrator to put down the weapon, but he did not comply. The perpetrator attempted to retreat into the apartment, but officers detained him. And during the struggle, the perpetrator retrieved his handgun from his waistband and fired 2 shots, the first hitting Officer Suggs in the upper thigh. The perpetrator was quickly disarmed and taken into custody. Officer Jewel Suggs never returned to work after being shot in the line of duty, and he accepted a line of duty retirement on April 28, 2023. Jewel Suggs began his career with the Memphis Police Department in July of 2003. He was initially assigned to Uniform Patrol and in 2004 was promoted to Police Officer 2. He was selected as a field training officer and worked as part of the crisis intervention team. He faithfully served the Memphis Police Department for 20 years. Receiving the award for his career-ending injury is Jewel Suggs. Once again, I'd like to thank all of the 3-Star of Tennessee honorees and their families. Please join me in, again, a round of applause to recognize these heroes for their selfless service to Tennessee. I'd like to thank all of you who are here in person and who have joined us online today. I'd also like to thank, once again, the Hermitage Hills Baptist Church for making this venue available. From my office, I'd like to recognize Amy Tosh, Justina Ramsey, and Christiana Dunn, who worked tirelessly to make this event happen. This concludes the 2024 3-Stars of Tennessee Awards ceremony. There will be an opportunity for photographs up front if you so desire. Thank you very much for your attendance.